is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 88. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and some people call him E. Switching it up a little bit here.
Okay.
As we're, hitting the international break.
Yeah.
Maybe, looking under the hood a little bit, just like Austin FC.
Okay.
Maybe making some tweaks here for the stretch run. So sitting here on a Wednesday, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. Football, American football is back.
Football.
So we do got some changes coming up. You didn't tell me pre-show, so you caught me off guard a little bit there, because usually I get a little lulled to sleep when you go through all the nicknames, as maybe Krugs does as well. So glad the change was nice. It was welcomed, but I'm doing well. I know we got some interesting stuff to talk about today, some fun stuff, a little more of the madness, the betting madness, and some updates in the best ball. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we definitely have updates galore when it comes to the nonsense. And we will talk about the Western Conference playoff picture is what we want to get into here in the middle of the podcast. Before we get into any of that, shout out to the Fighting Leslies. Looking at my FLDC koozie here. Got our little care package come in. So shout out to all of those folks. And I think we might be talking a little bit more about the Fighting Leslies and maybe some other stuff here over the coming weeks. So looking forward to that. Lips still sealed on that whole deal. But shout out to that. It's a great little Verde koozie, switching it up from my Stu Vare.
Yeah, I'm excited to get the shirt. Don't give me the koozie. I will 100% lose it almost immediately as we walk from the car to the stadium with our walking beers. But don't give me the koozie. Hold on to it. I'll use it while I'm over at your place. Yeah. But I am excited for the shirt. Mm-hmm. I've been running a little thin on the Austin FC gear. I got to get an update there. But the finances are a little tied up right now.
Well, I'm going to keep you on your toes the rest of this episode, because let's start with last business day here on Wednesday, September 6th. No first team match, of course, until next weekend, but the FCito boys in action this weekend. We know they were victorious in the shootout last Friday, against LAFC2 and Maxime Crépeau there in net. But there were, as we noted on episode 87, there were matches still to be played that were very consequential to Austin FC2. And it did not go our way. Tacoma Defiance has jumped into the second seed out west with 3 matches remaining. They defeated Timbers 2 4-0. On, I believe, Monday. So let's take a look real quick. I guess we can look at the standings here first, especially for those, on the YouTube. Here's what we're looking at in terms of the Next Pro table. And let me get the Zoom going here. So like I mentioned, did you say enhance?
Enhance.
So in terms of where Austin stands, like I mentioned, dropped to third here. Still obviously have the advantage in goal differential over Tacoma, but they have one more shootout victory than we do. So 1 point above us here with 3 remaining. And then SKC2 right on our ass. They're on 47 points from their 25 matches, and they would currently hold the tiebreaker over Austin because they have one more win on 13 wins compared to 12 for Austin. So any thoughts on that? I do want to dive into what we're looking at here in terms of the remaining 3 games for these 4 teams at the top.
I mean, definitely a bummer to lose that 2 seed to that Tacoma team. They're obviously quite talented, but we've been in the driver's seat for the majority of this season. And it just sucks that we kind of lost a little bit of form here and dropped down to the 3, but still plenty of time left. You look at the table really, and it's basically a big 4 of Colorado, Tacoma, Austin FC, and SKC. And after that, a pretty significant drop off. So the only thing you really at this point, the 1 is out of play for us. So the thing you want is to get that 2 so you can have home field for as long as you possibly can, which, I mean, I'm stating the obvious here, but you're looking at the remaining schedule, and again, it's pretty favorable for us outside of that matchup versus Colorado, but a chance to make up some of the ground we lost with this North Texas team to close the season out.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually say here, looking at these 4 teams and their remaining schedules, that we have one of the tougher ones, if not the toughest, because 2 on the road. We know how tough it is, even in Next Pro, right, to win on the road. And of Loons 2 coming up this weekend. We'll talk about them a little bit more in depth here in a second. Like you mentioned, though, North Texas has certainly fallen off here through the second half. So on the road or not, I think that is a friendly matchup to close the season. But road at Minnesota, who are sitting in the 7 seed right now, they themselves are battling for that final playoff spot because, again, top 7 get in. They're going to be fighting, scratching, clawing with everything they have as well. So this is not a team like LAFC 2, right, who's just kind of playing out the string, guys trying to put some good film together for whatever their next step may be. Not the case here with Minnesota. And then Colorado, they do have this locked up. Actually, I guess technically they don't, because they are 8 points ahead of Tacoma with 3 games to go. So if Colorado lost all 3 and Tacoma wins out, they would be ahead of them by 1 point. We can no longer catch Colorado. We can tie them on points, but they have 4 more wins than we do, so we would lose the tiebreaker for total wins there. But again, looking at Colorado hosting Real Monarchs in 10th place in the West, nearly eliminated. They need pretty much everything to go right to have a chance there. Then, of course, Colorado coming to Austin, and they host Loons 2 to close out the season. I guess potentially there, Colorado, based on how their first 2 results go, they could be resting guys in that Minnesota match if they have everything locked up and nothing to play for. I don't think we're getting like NBA style tank rest at the end there, but you could certainly see some rotation.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as well. And I never know with these Next Pro teams. Like, obviously, like, are they going to do that? Can they afford to do that? I don't know. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting race to close this out here. Yeah, you never know. Is it, is Colorado going to lose to Dynamo 2 with all first-team players? Is Maxime Crépeau going to be in net for LAFC 2? You never know what's going to happen. Will there be a Rusty swinging at all times? Video.
Yep. Will there be fans on the phone standing in front of the broadcast camera? You just never know. Tacoma, home against Quakes 2. Quakes 2, again, we know a talented side here. They are in 6th position in the West on 39 points, so they are right there in the thick of things for those last 3 playoff spots. Then they go to Real Monarchs and then host Whitecaps 2. Whitecaps 2, I believe, are out at this point. And then SKC, again, 1 point behind us. They host Chicago Fire 2, which is interesting. You don't see a ton of that cross-conference action here in Next Pro. Then they host Loons 2, and then they host St. Louis City 2 to close it out. So SKC with quite a tough schedule as well. I think clearly best case scenario here is the 2 seed. If I had to put money on it right now, if I had to put some units on it, I think we may have let this 2 seed slip through our fingers.
I agree. It is not looking ideal right now. And if I had to put money on it, I would probably say the 3. But again, that SKC team is super talented. They can score. So we're gonna have to be on the P's and Q's here. David getting back into form will be imperative, and just gonna have to get back into form.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about Loons 2. Again, sitting in 7th position, so currently occupying the 7th and final playoff spot out west. 38 points from their 25 matches. They are on a -1 goal differential. 44 scored, so that's 7 more goals scored this season than Austin FC 2, but 45, of course, that's good math, 45 conceded. That is 28 more goals let in than Austin FC 2 has all year. So on paper, of course, Austin FC, the team that should have the upper hand here.
Mhm.
If we take a look at their statistics in terms of like their FOT mob ratings, we always like to look and see maybe that can tell us a little bit about who we should be, keying in on as fans.
Oh yeah.
Diego Pacheco. I knew that was gonna. I knew that was gonna. You were gonna like that one. Cameron Lacey, Rory O'Driscoll. That's quite a name. Malik Khan and Juan Mascara, not to be confused with Juan David Mascara of the Portland Timbers. Quite a different player.
Indeed.
There, although not dissimilar in terms of their ages. Lacey leads this team in scoring 9 goals in his 18 appearances, 2 assists to go along with that. So 11 contributions. He's just behind. I guess this is now your new boy, just given the last name, Diogo Pacheco. 12 goal contributions, 8 goals, and 4 assists. He's done that in 23 matches played. So he is leading this team along with O'Driscoll in terms of total appearances. So again, this is a team that has had some very impressive results if you look throughout their schedule. And they've also had some, maybe if they're not tough results, maybe just expected. You bring a team like Tacoma in to their place. Tacoma wins 4-2. They lose at home to a team like Real Monarchs, but mostly have taken care of business against the teams they should have. I believe swept North Texas, taken care of LAFC, of Galaxy 2, both times that they played them. And of course, the first time that these two teams met in terms of our favorite team and Loons 2, that was a 1-1 draw with Austin FC coming out on top 6-5 in the penalty shootout. That game was all the way back in April 28th there at the pitch. So let's talk, I guess, a little bit more about us. We will discuss Bobo's most recent call-up back to the Ugandan national team. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail here in a couple minutes, but obviously no Bobo this weekend for FC To. He has been starting, certainly started the last match at the pitch against LAFC 2 last Friday, so we will be replacing him in the starting 11. Do you think we see anything like, to me, this is an opportunity. Obviously, this is not a like-to-like switch. Like, I think we'll probably see somebody like Steve Louis-Jean. Maybe we see a Brian Ariano or somebody like that step into that defensive midfield for Bobo. But with this extra week off, and we saw almost a full half from a guy like David Rodriguez, do you think maybe he gets the start? Because I think for me, that's where I kind of began looking at this lineup and what we could see on Sunday. Again, this match is Sunday the 10th. So this Sunday coming up, 5 p.m. Central is the kickoff against Loons 2. I don't think we see a ton of changes outside of obviously having to swap for Bobo. And then I'm not surprised at all to see David back in there for somebody like EJ on the right.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see David. You would have to assume that he's back in form at this point if he just got that half versus LAFC, and now he's got a little time here to get more training and game speed stuff in to get back on the pitch. So yeah, I think that's the first place I'm looking. Replacing Bobo back there at the defensive mid isn't too difficult. We have plenty of options. For me, it really comes down to the fact about, our defense is the only defense in the league or our team only gives up less than a goal a game. Mm-hmm. So we're the only team in the league that does that. This Minnesota club is about middle of the pitch, middle of the table for their offense, how many goals they score a game. So we've been looking at this defense to kind of solidify even more since Kip has got back into the rotation, which is interesting because obviously he allows Joe to play out on the right and obviously gives a presence that we haven't had back there with a guy who's got MLS time. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's about if we can get back into form in our defense, obviously the most clean sheets in the league right now, Damian Loss, the best keeper in Next Pro. So it's going to be how quickly we can get back to the form defensively and control the game and how we want to play. And I'm confident that we can do that. I've been confident that we can get these games done, and we haven't really gotten the results that we've been expecting. So it's a bit of a rough patch here, and I don't know if we've hit a proverbial wall like has happened with Owen on the first team for these younger guys through a bit of a long season. So we should be ready to go. And this Minnesota team is going to be hungry because, like you said, they're right there on the edge of all the playoff madness in the Western Conference here in Next Pro as well. So it's going to be a tough fought match.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to it on a week where we are once again without first team action. So last thing before we get our score predictions down on record, shout out, happy birthday, Steve Louis-Jean, celebrating his birthday here today on Wednesday, September 6th. So, what I think I would say, I think a lot of these guys I would categorize as like, oh, these are like my favorite players. But it's like, it's hard to narrow it down. I've loved watching Steve kind of come into his own on this team, like out of relative obscurity, how he got, signed first with the amateur agreement with this team and played multiple games before actually getting that professional contract. And I believe this is his 19th birthday, if I'm not mistaken. So still a very young player. I believe originally from Haiti. So it's great to see Steve progressing and hope he has a happy birthday and a good game on Saturday.
Absolutely. Shout out Steve.
Alrighty. One thing left to do here on last business day. How much is Austin FC 2 winning by on Sunday?
I think I'm going 2-0.
Okay.
Like I said, I expect this team to get back in form defensively. Kippy back there as well. And, without CJ and David through this stretch here, we missed those guys. We have missed those guys. And CJ is obviously not coming back. So David's going to have to step into that role and, be a difference maker. And I think he can do that.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go 2-1. Certainly looking for that defense to kind of shore up back to that truly elite form that we saw throughout the first like 2/3 of this season. Everybody, they're certainly allowed to have a little bit of, if this what this team has gone through is a rough patch, you're doing pretty well. So, but I will, give credit to this Minnesota offense, 44 goals on the season. Like you mentioned, nothing to sneeze at. And I do think that Austin comes out on top here, kind of getting back on track and bringing home the full 3 points. And again, we don't care how they do it. Just bring home those 3 points. And then we can focus on that big matchup against the Grillmaster and Rapids 2 coming to town the next week. So certainly looking forward to that, but not overlooking this game this weekend, 5 p.m. Central out there in Minnesota. Let's talk a little bit. Actually, let's talk some Austin FC news before we get into this kind of playoff picture discussion for the first team. Alex Ring, just one more, shout out. Congratulations to him. Recognized on the MLS Team of the Match Day for his performance against New England this past Saturday. Certainly well-deserved. And man, if there weren't so many giant performances statistically around the league, he may have made it onto that first 11, but on the bench for the Team of the Match Day, still well-deserved. So shout out to Cap there.
Salute.
Before the game against the LA Galaxy Sunday, September 24th, the team will be giving away those Yeti hats again, or the new iteration of the Austin FC Yeti hats, first 10,000 fans. So, if you are so inclined, show up a little bit early, make sure you get your hands on some of those hats.
It's going to be rocking.
Yeah. That one is that's going to be something.
It's going to be rocking.
Yeah, and that's it feels so close, and it is close, right? It's 2.5 weeks away, but we have that busy first team week of Portland, Red Bulls, then Galaxy. So a lot happening between now and then. A lot to talk about here on the international stage, both with the first team and the second team. Of course, we mentioned Julio Cascante got called up. We talked about that on the last podcast, but schedule here for anybody that is interested in keeping up with it. Costa Rica will take on Saudi Arabia Friday. So that's September 8th, 2 p.m. Central is that game. I'm not sure where you can probably find some sort of stream on that somewhere on the internet. Somewhere on the internet. Find me on them internets.
Someone's got it.
And so if somebody is so inclined, don't hesitate to reach out to us with a stream, because we would definitely like to watch some of that match, watch our boy Julio out there. I think this is the first time. I think Hernan dropped this on Top Flight this week. This is the first time since 2015, I think, that Julio has made an appearance with his national team. So long time coming. Yeah, definitely excited for him, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They will play a second match. We weren't sure about that on the last pod. They take on the UAE on Tuesday. That is an 11 a.m. Central match. So again, the first team will play on Sunday. Still should be plenty of time for Julio to get back here and maybe not start, but he'll be active, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So good luck to the Costa Rican team, and of course, more so to Julio. We mentioned Bobasi getting called up to the Ugandan national team once again. And out of all the guys playing overseas or wherever this week during the international break, this is the one that actually means something. We've talked about the Ugandan chase for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, and in their group, Algeria, Tanzania, and Niger. Currently, Uganda, this is going to be the last game in the qualifying round, and Uganda not only needs a win, but they will need some help. Niger currently last in their group, so I think the outlook for Uganda here is good in terms of their matchup, but they are 3 points back of second place Tanzania, so they need a win, and then they are also down by 2 in terms of goal differential. But Algeria, undefeated in this group through 5 matches, and they have a +7 goal differential. So it's certainly not out of the question that you could see Uganda get the win and the goal differential that they need to get up into that second spot. So out of all of these matches for our guys, this is the one that I'm paying the most attention to, because I want to see Bobo continue to go over, playing in the Africa Cup of Nations. I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. This is all news to me, so I'm excited for that. Just looked at that table real quick, and yeah, Algeria has been beaten up on everybody else, and now it's Tanzania's turn. So get a little help, get 3 points, we'll take it.
Yeah, so that will be Thursday. So probably when you're listening to this, or it may have already passed. It is Thursday, September 7th, 2 p.m. Central Time, Niger and Uganda. Go get them, Bobo. We'll certainly be watching from Central Texas. Micah Burton is also with, I should have brought that up too. I think we'll see Val Noel shift back to the 10 for FC2 with Micah out there with the U17 national team. The U17s defeated Ukraine today in that little, I forget what the tournament is called that they are currently playing in. But it is, I believe, out there in the Czech Republic. I don't think they would be playing in Ukraine at this point, but they did take on Ukraine today. And in comeback fashion, the U17s get the victory 3-2. We got a late brace from Nimfasha Berchimas, who is with the Charlotte. I imagine he's probably with their Next Pro team at this point, but he's with the Charlotte franchise. Looked like in the celebration for that second goal, Micah was out there and wearing the number 9. So the U17s will be back in action on Friday, taking on Switzerland, and then on Sunday, closing out that round-robin tournament against the Czech Republic. Both of those matches scheduled for 10 a.m. Central, and I believe you can access that match through the U.S. Soccer website. Looks like it's like $3 or $4 to get streaming access to those games for anybody who's interested. We also, for the first time in a while, have an academy update. Courtesy of our buddy Chad, gave us a little update. The U12s and U13s participated in the Lone Star Labor Day Cup this past weekend. Lone Star Labor Day Cup is a tournament from the U9s to U19 levels at locations all over Austin, and I think as far north as Round Rock. Described as kind of a tune-up for the fall season for all of these clubs that are participating. The U13s won the Lone Star Labor Day tournament. And then Chad's son, Tyler, shout out to Tyler, 2 goals. I saw the clips. One of them, banger from distance, just right over the keeper, lofted it into the back of the net. Other one converted a penalty. So great to see Tyler and the team having some success out there. And he also let us know the U12s took down the Lone Star Labor Day tournament. So more academy success. You love to see it.
That is fantastic. Shout out Tyler, and thank you, Chad.
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody with that academy info, keep it coming, because we are fans of this entire organization. Doesn't matter which team. Great to see the success continuing at that level. All right, let's jump into a little discussion here, on the playoff race. And of course, We know what the table looks like right now. Austin FC currently sitting in 10th in the West on 33 points, but still just 8 points between Austin FC in 10th and Seattle in 2nd. So again, I think no delusions that we're going to be up catching the second place team here to close out the season, but just it certainly illustrates how tight things remain, even though the last 2 weeks of Austin FC results have been, unlucky, but it is what it is. You got 1 point from 4 matches, and now you're here chasing the field. You've also got Sporting KC 1 point behind, the Timbers 3 points behind us, and the Galaxy with 2 games in hand. They could play 2 matches and be above us. So points per game wise, it's not looking great. But let's take a look. We've got the remaining schedules for seeds 2 through 13 here. Don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but maybe just kind of look at each team and make some comments that you see. Starting off with Seattle, we can just go in order of seeding here. So the 2 seed, Seattle, they have the least amount of matches remaining with 6 sitting there in 2nd position, and 4 of them on the road, including the next 3. And so I think you'll see Colorado pop up on a lot of these team schedules out west with the remaining slate that we have. They sandwich their Colorado away match with road tilts against Dallas and Nashville. So I look at this, Galaxy and Vancouver come into town for Seattle, and then they finish at St. Louis, who could very well be playing for that 1 seed in that last match, St. Louis, that is. I think this is a tough schedule for Seattle.
It is a difficult schedule. Those three road games right there to kick this back off and closing at Nashville is definitely daunting. Again, no delusions that we could catch this team. Maybe if the referees got the game right, it'd be a little
right. Yeah.
But here we are, and then decision day at St. Louis. Yeah, that's rough. I could see them definitely slipping to at least LAFC and even my RSL boys, who, they get 3 games in the elevation there, still 4 on the road, but you get to close at Colorado. And I mean, just based on the current standings, you look at the Galaxy there as well. So sorry I jumped there a little bit, but everyone's playing one another, so your eyes just go to where they're at. But yeah, that's 66% of the games remaining for Seattle on the road.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, they have the most matches played here in the West, so everybody has at least 1 match in hand on them. LAFC, Vancouver, and Minnesota, and FC Dallas all have 2 games in hand on Seattle. So, Seattle could very well slip. I don't think they're going to go all the way to the wild card, but I don't crazier things have happened than Seattle, given how close this all is and the matches they have already played. They could end up in the 8th seed, and I don't think we should be shocked by that.
I mean, it just goes to show how congested the West is right now. And I mean, part of what makes Seattle successful is that it's a very difficult place to play. So now you're leaving home. And of the top 6 teams, they have the least amount of goals in the season thus far. So, or up from those top 6. So I could definitely see them falling, and this thing can shake up a lot.
Yep. Yeah. Like you mentioned, imagine if the officials got that game right last week. It would look a lot different for sure. LAFC, they have the most games. Actually, I'm mistaken there. The Galaxy, who we'll get to, of course, they have the most games remaining with 9, but LAFC still 8 to play. They've got 5 of them on the road: Portland, St. Louis, Philly, Austin, and Vancouver. And then Galaxy, obviously that's going to be a heated rivalry match there in LA, and then hosting RSL and Minnesota. Certainly offensively potent teams there in RSL and Minnesota coming to town. So LAFC also going to be without Danny Bouanga over this weekend for the international break. I still would be very surprised if they fall out of the top 3. I think they probably finish 2nd.
There would be my bet to finish 2nd, and they can do us some big favors here with these 2 games that they have. So I'll be rooting for LAFC for these next 2 matches. But yeah, back-to-back games at St. Louis, at Philly, then hosting a potent RSL team with, half their fucking club is old LAFC guys at this point. Yeah, and then they come down to Q2, baby.
Mm-hmm. So RSL next, they've got 7 matches remaining, 4 of them on the road. That's San Jose, LAFC, the Galaxy, and then, like you mentioned, they get to close out at Colorado. They will host Dallas, Vancouver, and SKC. So I think this is a team that could go either way, or they could kind of just hover kind of right where they are right now, like that 4 or 5 seed. This is the more common schedule we'll see amongst these teams, is that a lot of these teams in the mix are playing each other. And Austin is a little bit unique in that fact that we are not really playing anybody that is in the mix right now. We're playing either some Eastern Conference teams or teams that are even below Austin currently in the standings. RSL, I think, is a team that makes it, but I think they could struggle down the stretch here.
Yeah, I mean, all these guys are going to cannibalize one another. We get to go to New York. We get to host DC, which is great. And I mean, you see this RSL and Houston schedules here comparatively on the screen. And shit, I would not be shocked if Houston leaped them with their remaining schedule, because that is quite favorable for how potent they are at home. And then, outside of going to Montreal, Portland at the end there, but still nothing too daunting there for that club.
Yeah. So, and like you mentioned, very good at home. 4 of the 7 games remaining at home for Houston, including Colorado coming to H-Town, which should be 3 points for the Orange team. But I will mention, there is a game not on this schedule. They will travel to Inter Miami on the 27th. So in between that SKC game on the road and Dallas at home, they will go midweek to Miami. And of course, throwing everything they can, you would imagine, at that one. So maybe not as easy as it looks on paper.
No, that's a good little caveat there, because yes, they're going to be 100% gunning for that, and it's going to be hot and humid down there. So yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Vancouver, of course, sitting currently in 6th. They also have 8 matches remaining, and 5 of them on the road, including coming up 4 straight road matches. And I think, like, the saving grace here on paper, is it starts with a visit to Toronto and ends with a visit at Colorado, but at Houston, at RSL in there, and being away from home for that long is never a good thing. So I think Vancouver, another team that you could see go either direction, and we shouldn't be too surprised. They will host DC, St. Louis, and then they close out at Seattle and then home LAFC. This is a tough road for Vancouver.
That is a brutal schedule, and I would actually anticipate them dropping. Given, I mean, you close out St. Louis at home, at Seattle versus LAFC, like, damn, after coming off 4 on the road.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. And look, Toronto's not good, but that's a rivalry game, and they're going to be up for that, and it's going to be exciting. And I mean, Toronto at this point probably only has that game really to play for, for an exciting win for the season. So that's definitely not a gimme. That's brutal. That's definitely a team that we can catch here.
Yep. Minnesota in 7th, 3 points above Austin with a game in hand currently. So they've got 8 remaining. And 5 of those are at home, but it's not exactly an easy schedule here at home in terms of the teams coming in. The Revs come this weekend, I believe, and then they get SKC, St. Louis, San Jose, and the Galaxy. Those are their home matches. And then they also see the Galaxy out in LA. They will also play LAFC and close on the road at SKC. I do think that, with the improvements that this team has made, that they will certainly be in the field come late October. But, they're missing Sungbin Jong this weekend. They're missing Pookie this weekend for international duty. Bongi's been banged up a little bit. It's certainly no guarantee, but having that game in hand is certainly going to help them.
Yeah, I mean, I just have enough belief in the quality of their club at this point that they're going to be able to navigate it. Every team in this West is in lockdown, crunch time mode. This is where we're at now. So everyone's going to be locked in. They have the quality of players to really navigate that tough schedule. The thing I'm looking at most there is to get 2 matchups versus the Galaxy. We'll take that. We talked about these teams cannibalizing one another, and that's a perfect opportunity for us to make up ground either way.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. And of course, all those games, like the best result for Austin are ties in these matches, right? Because you just keep the only 2 points going to Western Conference teams instead of 3. San Jose sitting in 8th. They are also 3 points above Austin, but they have the same amount of matches remaining with 7. They've got 4 of those on the road. They will travel to DC, Portland, Minnesota, and Dallas, and they will host RSL Nashville and close out the season on decision day with everybody's favorite team in Austin. This is also not, I see no gimmies. DC on paper, probably the least talented team, maybe at Portland as well. But going across the country, doesn't matter what sport you're playing, never easy to do, to go and get a win there against the Fighting Loons. And we know Portland, new coach, they're fighting for a playoff position as well. San Jose is a team like this could really come down to San Jose or Austin on decision day. Winner advances and loser goes home.
There should be a lot of interesting storylines going on decision day for this Western Conference here. And this San Jose team has just been so volatile all season. I don't know what to make of them and what they're going to do to respond to this schedule coming up. But you said it's not great. And we talked about it on the last pod. We didn't say our schedule was easy. I corrected myself. It's favorable.
Yeah.
Particularly when you matched up against the rest of this Western Conference playoff hunt. So it's going to be interesting here. And look, as we move to this next team, I think that's where it gets most interesting for me, because they just haven't been good.
They can't score.
They literally cannot score. They just have not been good. Obviously, they got the result versus us on the death. But you look at that fucking
I mean, this is maybe Dallas is who we're talking about for those on the audio only pod. I mean, here's Dallas. They're remaining, and again, they have 8 games remaining to Austin's 7, and are currently sitting 1 point above Austin in the table. But they host Seattle. They go to RSL in the elevation. They host Columbus, which is a buzzsaw offensively. They go to Philly. They go to Houston for the Copa Tejas finale. Then they host Colorado, a little bit of a reprieve there. Host San Jose and finish the season at the Galaxy. To me, they're going to have to produce some impressive results over these next 5 matches to put themselves in a position where they're not looking up with those last 3 matches, Colorado, San Jose, and the Galaxy.
Absolutely. And you look at them, playing Columbus, and then you go back to our game versus the Rebs there and getting that point and how big that was for us. Because now if we had this Rebs game up beforehand, before we had actually played it, you look at it and be like, shit, that's a tough game on the road that you might not get a result from. So them, hosting Columbus there, no easy task. And then maybe you have 3 of the most difficult places to play in the entire league there, with RSL, the elevation, Philly at home. And then, Houston has maintained this home quality for long enough for me to believe, and for Mooch to not believe, that that's legit. The boost they get playing in front of 22 people. And then you get Colorado, San Jose, which I said is going to be super volatile, but they might need a result there on the road in Dallas very badly before they get us. So man, it's going to be fun.
Yep. Austin, of course, 7 matches remaining, 4 of them at home. And again, like you said, I think favorable schedule is the best way to put it here. Hosting Portland, the Galaxy, DC United, and LAFC. Of course, those first 3 matchups, all of those teams either equal to, DC's also on 33 points out there in the East, or below Austin in the table. And again, I certainly do not consider any of those 3 teams to be walkovers. But I would rather be seeing them than some of the other teams that our competition is seeing over the next month.
Absolutely. I mean, even going to Red Bulls isn't like a death sentence. You can come out of there with a result. So you look at the way we can end this. You look at the health that we're getting back. Leo getting reacclimated. The emergence a little bit of Rigoni here, encouraging signs from Memo, working a new formation that looked good to us. So man, it's exciting to see what we're what we're up against versus what
Yeah.
the rest of the league here is up against.
Well, and looking at our slate here, 33 points here with these 7 matches remaining. There is a very clear path to guaranteeing yourself at least a spot in the wild card game. 43.3 points, I believe, is kind of a recent sample size of where, again, because this league has expanded to where 9 teams in a conference hasn't always been the case.
Yep.
But 43.3 points, I think, is the average over the last X number of seasons, the average 9th place finish. So, of course, to get to 44, we would need 11 points. So I think that, to me, the easiest path, and none of this it's easy is relative, of course, but taking care of business and getting wins in these first 3 home matches, Portland, Galaxy, and DC. And then you hope that you can lock up 3 points on the road at Colorado, a team that has only scored 16 goals this season, an MLS worst, negative 23 goal differential and 19 points from their 26 matches. To get to the playoffs, if Austin doesn't get 3 points there, I'm not sure they deserve to get in the playoffs.
Totally agree. And like you said, you got to protect home field here. If we can do that, you got to feel good about your chances, and hopefully just get some sort of result at New York. And look, come on, we have to beat Colorado on the road. You have to. So, yeah, man, I'm feeling good.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think either of us are trying to sit here and say that, to chalk up these 3 next home games, 3 points in each one of them. But I think Austin FC is going to be favored going into all 3 of those matches.
And if you want to make the playoffs, this is how you have to do it. So, if they want to get in, if they feel like they deserve to need to get in, then this is how you get it done. And it's winning games at home. Yeah.
Well, and if you get 9 points here from these next 5 matches, so we'll say we'll give Colorado, we'll give us 3 points there, and you win 2 of those 3 home matches, then you're sitting on 42 points with 2 matches remaining, and you have the opportunity to win either at home against LAFC or on the road at San Jose, a team that Austin FC has never beat yet through 2 and 3/4 seasons. So obviously a lot easier said than done, but there are multiple avenues here to Austin getting over that playoff line. And again, I think for you and I, at least getting into that wild card match and giving us meaningful soccer after decision day is the absolute minimum of what we will accept at this point in terms of okay, we managed something out of this season. I think getting up to our original bar from the beginning of the season is probably already in the rear view.
I would agree with that. And look, we want draws everywhere else. We want as many draws as we can get from these clubs that are playing one another.
So real quick, finishing up the teams that are still in contention behind us, Sporting KC with 7 matches remaining as well. They go to Miami this weekend. We'll discuss that match here in a minute. Might not be as tough as you think. Then at Minnesota, home Nashville, home Houston, at St. Louis, at RSL, and home Minnesota. This is a team, that I think will not make it.
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. And look, they might get fortunate, like you said. We're going to talk about this Miami game coming up here. They might have gotten really fortunate with that because they could have just put themselves out of contention in this first 3 games here. A single point. And then back to back at St. Louis, at RSL, and then you close out with a Minnesota team that's just better than them, just flat out better. I would have to put them on the outside looking in. Same with Dallas at this point. Nothing easy there.
I think with Portland, they have a slightly more favorable schedule than SKC. I mean, they do host LAFC this weekend, then obviously coming to Austin the following weekend, and then 3 more home matches after that: San Jose, Colorado, and Houston on their schedule, at the Galaxy and at Montreal, which at Montreal has not been an easy road trip for anybody this year. So again, I think Portland, a team that certainly can threaten. But I think if I had to, do my final order today, they probably also miss the top 9 for me. I think the Galaxy, I might be a little bit different here with their 9 matches remaining, 5 of those at home. And I think, They have a lot of, obviously, they have the most potential points remaining out of any Western Conference team. That also means they have the most congested schedule of any team. So home St. Louis, at LAFC crosstown game, right? Hosting Minnesota, at Austin, hosting Portland, at Seattle, at Minnesota, home RSL, home Dallas. This is not just the most congested schedule, but they play everybody above them. So they truly control their own destiny and almost the destiny of some of these other teams that are on the bubble.
Absolutely. And that's why we're rooting for draws as often as we can here. Yeah, look, it's a lot of games in a short period of time to get these in and squeeze all these games in. You get your bitter rivals in LAFC. You got to go to Seattle, go to Minnesota. I know that, with Diego there, they got at Austin circled. I know we got it circled. It should be a really fun game. But again, I think I would favor them over Dallas, over SKC to catch ground there and potentially get into that playoff game. That'd be fun to have that as the plan.
So let's say if we can do this on the fly, out of these teams, 4 will miss even the wild card game. So can you give me 4 teams that you think will finish 10th through 13th?
So you're saying 4 plus the given of Colorado?
Yeah. So just the teams we've talked about. 4 of these teams will miss.
So I'm going Dallas, SKC, Portland. Oh,
okay.
Man, fuck! I forgot about Vancouver.
Yeah. Well, you need a 4th. You need a 4th. They can be your 4th.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. Plus the Colorado. Can you scroll up? Yeah.
Yes. Hold on. You can also zoom out here for you a little bit.
Yep. It's Vancouver for me. Vancouver, SKC, Dallas, Portland.
Vancouver, SKC, Dallas, Portland. Okay. I am going to say SKC and Portland. I'm also going to say Dallas. Actually, you know what? I don't want to put that Wuju out there. I'm going to say SKC, Portland, Vancouver, San Jose. I think we knock San Jose out on decision day.
Okay.
Well, there you have it. Hopefully these predictions do a little bit better than some of our former predictions this season. We're coming up quick on checking in on our team points draft, our over-unders, all that stuff from the beginning of the season. We're not too far off from diving back in.
Yeah, I forgot all about those.
Let's close out the pod here, episode 88, with the nonsense. And, of course, we had updated on the pod some of the best ball scores since we returned from the break. But just a recap here. When we came back week 24, We Are Austin TV came out with a bang. They picked up a bunch of those St. Louis players in the transfer window. Those 6 St. Louis goals against Austin certainly helped them. So coming out of the break, they set a new record with 65 points there in week 24. We came up short with 26. So we were in last in week 24, but Moon Tower only had 29. So we only ceded 3 points there. The next week, Messi scoring his first fantasy points for Texas Ring of Fire, and they won the week with 57. We also had 57. And so didn't lose any ground there to RB and the boys. We Are Austin TV with 50 in week 25, and Moon Tower coming up short with 46. So everybody making up some ground in week 25. And then week 26, the midweek games last week, North End Podcast wins again, continues to close that gap on first with 48 points. Moon Tower was in second with 42. Texas Ring of Fire with 39. We Are Austin TV, no double-digit scorers in week 26, just 30 points there. And then this past weekend, we were talking about the live table on Sunday where there was going to be, if Philly and Miami and LAFC and who played Philly? Was that Red Bulls, I think? I forget who they played. I think it was Red Bulls. It was Red Bulls. If those games hadn't played, there would be a change in the schedule. So we watched those games that night, and there was not enough from Denny Buonga or any of the Philly players to put Moon Tower over the top because North End Podcast, new record, 68 points, hat trick from Cucho, hat trick of assists from Kai Wagner. That also helped us on Sunday.
Yeah.
Texas Ring of Fire second with 48 points. Moon Tower with 41. And We Are Austin TV in the mud, 28 points. Only 58 points for We Are Austin over the last 2 weeks. So that puts the North End podcast in first place, for the first time all season. 1,236 points. Moon Tower in second, 1,230. We Are Austin at 1,154. And Texas Ring of Fire, 1,085. That is the first time since week 6 that Moon Tower Soccer drops out of first position.
Suck it, Bogert.
Let's talk the betting picks here, because we were coming in hot on a 3-pod winning streak, and make it 4.
Look,
barely.
You see how we're doing? You see how we're doing and everything? The best ball, we're on the way. We're on the way up. The trajectory had been set, baby. This is SpaceX.
Hey, look. Imagine if the North End podcast best ball fans, back in week 8, when we were down 89 points and in 4th place, imagine if we had just fired the staff, blown everything up. It's a marathon. Now look at us in first place. Maybe Austin FC could take a lesson from us. And with the bets, 3 and 5 on the week. Austin plus 295 did not come through. The Galaxy minus 105, Minnesota plus 230. Both of those teams caught draws, so it didn't come through for us. Cincinnati minus 120 lose for the first time at home this season to the Fighting Felipes. And then we did hit both hammers last week, so that helped us stay above water. RSL minus 155, that came through. Philly minus 110, that hammer also came through. Miami plus 230 at LAFC, the 3-0 victory, but Messi minus 105 doesn't come through because he felt like distributing all night. And to be honest, shout out McCarthy, because John McCarthy had a couple really nice saves on Lionel Messi that I think you normally see him bury no matter what the competition. So plus 0.41 units on the week, that brings us to negative 26.63 on the season. How you feeling?
Look, I'm feeling good. Like, maybe we can get this thing under the 20-unit benchmark.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. That's lofty. That's lofty.
Yeah, we're hot right now. We'll see. We like the bets tonight. Man, that LAFC Miami game was fucking fun.
Yeah, that was a blast.
That was a lot of fun. Bouanga could have made it a lot more fun and interesting if he could finish versus other teams, like versus Inter Miami, like he does versus other teams there. But that game was a blast. The energy was awesome. And Leo didn't get on the board, but the passes he made were just, the ones that led to goals. He had 2 assists, right? Just awesome stuff. And like, it's crazy because the gravitational pull when he has the ball and every single eye is on him on defense. And like, oh my God. And then he's just dropping dimes behind you. It was great.
Yep. So week 31 betting picks coming in hot. There's only 5 matches in MLS this weekend. So I'll toss it to you. Where are we looking to start our week 31 card?
Well, look, we're going against the Inter Messis right out of the gate here. And I'll let you break that down. I'm going to let the person who did the good research on the back here get credit for it. But SKC plus 210 at Miami. We're going to hammer it. And here's the reason why.
Well, if you look at the list of teams missing guys for this international break this weekend, Miami is the one that is getting hit pretty hard. I mean, maybe the hardest out of any team in the league. Not only will they be missing the GOAT, Lionel Messi, out there with Argentina, they will also miss Callender, Kremaski, Gomez, Kristoff, Joseph Martinez, Ruiz, Robert Taylor. I mean, these are a lot of key pieces for this team. And SKC, on the other hand, only missing Giannis. So I know Johnny Russell's been banged up again over the past couple weeks, but plus 210 against almost the old Miami team here. And even then some, right? I think you will probably still see Busquets and Jordi Alba out there, but SKC plus 210 with the hammer, I don't hate it. And I'll give you the credit. You're the one who brought out the hammer on that one, not me. So we're rolling with it, and we'd love to see it.
We would, and also we wouldn't.
Yeah. Look at our happiness.
Yeah, you can't be making perfect bets out of everything.
SKC plus 210, the 2-unit hammer. I like it as a start. And we're going to go with some more underdogs here and talk about hedging your happiness. The Quakes traveling to the East Coast to take on the Fighting Loons. They are plus 310 out there. So again, we don't necessarily want to see San Jose pick up 3 points, but if they're gonna help our wallets out as well. So San Jose plus 310 against DC. Lock it in.
Going to LAFC at Portland. Get them at plus 125. They'll be missing some guys, yes.
Yeah, Boulanga's out.
But still, they have a shitload of guys.
Yeah,
so
they'll be fine.
I anticipate them to be locked and loaded, particularly after getting their ass whooped the other night.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm going to go here. This one, I think, would probably just make us happy in general because we ain't catching St. Louis. And they're on the road at the Galaxy this weekend. Of course, the Galaxy with 2 games at hand, 2 wins would put them above Austin FC in the table. So I'm going to go to I don't know if they're my least favorite team, but they're on my shit list. They don't suck, but I hate them.
Yeah.
St. Louis City plus 260 to win at the Galaxy. Joao Klaus back in the mix for St. Louis. So I like that. And man, if we hit these this week, we are going to be we're going to be swimming in units.
There we go. We'll take it.
So there's only, again, 5 games.
Yeah.
We're only going to make 4 MLS bets. But as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, and if anybody listening knows us, we're big American football fans as well. Week 1 coming up this Sunday. So we're gonna make a little special, a couple special bets here. NFL Week 1. I'll throw it to you. Just one each. Where are you going on your NFL special pick here?
I'm going home, baby.
Boy.
To the New York Giants. You get them at plus 3 at home versus the Cowgirls.
Man.
I'm going to bust the hammer out on this one just because, we're going to show you boys how football is really played.
I'm sure there are no Cowboys fans tuning into the North End podcast here. So Giants plus 3 at home. That's a 2-unit hammer. I'm gonna get a little cute with it here. Okay. I'm gonna get a little parlay going, and we're not gonna do a parlay. We're gonna do a tease. Okay. So here's it's a 3-team teaser. Okay. I've got the Washington Commanders hosting the Arizona Cardinals. My ex-Steeler, Josh Dobbs. I love Josh Dobbs. He's a couple steps below a starting caliber quarterback. This is a team that is very clearly tanking. And I don't think the Commanders are any great shakes either, but they are favored by 7 at home against the team that I think is the worst in the league. Then I'm looking to the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road against the Indianapolis Colts. They are 5-point road favorites here against rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson and a backfield that has no recognizable names to the casual fan with Jonathan Taylor out of there. Jacksonville, certainly a team that is on the minds of a lot of NFL fans with the young talent they have on both sides of the ball. And then my third game, the Baltimore Ravens. As much as I despise them as a fan of another AFC North team, they are getting 10 points, or they are favored by 10 rather, welcoming the Houston Texans, another team that certainly on the come up over these next couple years with the young players that they've brought in, the picks they've acquired, etc. But I don't think they're quite ready for the big stage yet against a team in Baltimore. While they may take a step back on defense this year, they've got a lot of pieces on offense. And so I'm going to put all of those together in a 7-point tease. So we've got Washington at an even spread there. We've got Jacksonville getting 2 points now in the 7-point tease, and we're teasing that Baltimore line down to Baltimore -3. All those together is plus 130. So there's your 3-team tease, long-winded tease. Talk about talking too much.
Ah, you're good, man. You had to explain it. I was gonna say you might want to explain what a teaser is to the non-degens that listen to the pod.
Yeah.
Who's your Super Bowl pick on the spot?
Oh God, on the spot.
Steelers.
No, I do think taking an over on their win total is a smart idea. Hey, finish the season 7-2. They're pretty fucking good when the best defensive player in football is on the field. No, it is not Pittsburgh. Obviously, your chalky pick is going to be KC. I think bad vibes with the Travis Kelce injury here early on. I'm going to go NFC first because I think this is a lot easier. I think there are just a handful of teams I could see in the Super Bowl. Yes. I'm going to say that Philadelphia makes it back. San Francisco is very close.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that Philly offense, I just trust Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy. No matter how much Brock Purdy is just a product of Kyle Shanahan, I think, man, that Philly offense, we'll see. I think they're my pick from the NFC. And I had last year, I think I had Ravens and Eagles in the Super Bowl. I'm not going back to the Ravens here. I hate it. I'm gonna say Bengals.
Shit.
Bengals. Yeah. And I'm gonna say Philly actually gets it done this year and takes on the Super Bowl. So yeah, Bengals, Joe Burrow back in practice this week after injuring that calf early in training camp. They scare me, man. That's a good team.
Yeah, they're quite good. Okay.
What do you got?
I got the Niners over the Jags.
Jaguars.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a fucking Jag pick, is what that is. They ain't ready for that. That's a homer pick if I've ever seen one, because I know your fantasy rosters. I know you got stock in Trevor Lawrence.
I got one.
Okay,
stock.
but it's the most important one.
I got one stock. If they make the fucking Super Bowl, doesn't mean anything. That doesn't get me points in fantasy. I'm just trying to mix it up here. To me, it's the Chiefs, but
really,
I don't want to do Niners Chiefs. So
Sure.
I'm going Niners Jags.
Okay.
Jags shocked the world in Arrowhead. Doug Peterson bust out some crazy shit.
AFC championship upset there.
A big upset.
All right, I like it. Well, there you have it. Some unexpected NFL talk to close out episode 88 of the North End podcast. So E's got SKC plus 210 at Miami. That's a 2-unit hammer. LAFC plus 125 at the Timbers. And his NFL special, the G-Men plus 3 against the Dallas Cowboys. That is also a 2-unit hammer. Double E hammer in week 31. I've got San Jose going across the country against DC plus 310. I've got St. Louis out on the West Coast plus 260 at the Galaxy. And then my 7-point teaser, Washington, Jacksonville, and Baltimore, the NFL special for me this week, plus 130 on that 3-team tease. Those are the week 31 betting picks. And that wraps up episode 88 of the North End podcast. If you've got 5 extra seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you hit that subscribe button to help us grow the podcast. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up button, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the playoff race of Austin FC 2. And look, if you've already done all that, tell a friend. If you've got a friend who, likes Austin FC, listens to a couple podcasts, name drop the North End podcast. Make sure they've got us in their content rotation. You can help us grow the pod that way as well. And we greatly appreciate any of that you do for us. We will be back on Sunday recapping Austin FC 2's matchup against Minnesota United 2, talking all the results from our international boys out there on duty this week, talking about the results in the Western Conference this weekend and anything else that happens between now and then. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you back here on Sunday. Until then, he's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.